right, so thank you, Miss. I'm a math teacher for coming in and talking about your walkthrough that I was able to do the other day. Again, I just want to thank you for allowing me to come in your class. I really enjoyed it. Is there anything that you'd like to talk about before we get started? No. Uh, I want to say thank you for coming in and viewing my class. It was great having you in there. Kids love having you in there. So again, just want to say thank you. And really don't have any questions right now. May at the end. We'll get to that later, I guess. Thank you. All right. So let's go over your walkthrough form here. Student behaviors. Honestly, you got 4 out of 4 on there. All the students were in dress code. Uh, we don't need IDs in your classroom, so the IDs didn't have to be on. But they were all in dress code. They stayed in dress code. They stayed in their own area. They stayed on task. And they were all following the rules and expectations of not only the classroom, but the entire school. So you were working on a graphing lesson. The students did very well at raising their hands during your whole class presentation. There was no shouting out and interrupting anybody. It was very well organized, and I appreciate that. The students were also helping each other during the small group time. So that was really, really good to see the students working together to help each other and get that peer on peer lesson, peer on peer help to find that right answer, because graphing isn't easy for everybody. So I would really, really like to see that. And then at the end, when you played Simon Says, when you did the reinforcement of the angles lesson that you did previously, I thought the students did a very, very good job of staying in their own area. There was no hitting each other, touching each other when they had their arms out. They all respected each other's space, and that was really, really, really good to see. I wish, honestly, we had that in all the classrooms. So, really, really good job there. As far as you yourself, you walked around and you helped the students. Great job. And you were obviously very knowledgeable about the subject matter. When the students had a question, you were able to help them or guide them in the right direction to find the right answer. Whether that would be looking at their notes, looking at the board, thinking about what they've done previously, or even asking their peers. So it was a really good job there. And the only thing I didn't mark was I didn't see you looking at or have the accommodation support, but I think that was just not having enough time in the classroom. Um, I'm not going to take away on that one. Um, so I'm not saying that that's something you need to work on. It's just something that I would probably see if I were to be in your classroom longer. Okay, so it was really good job again. You walked around during a small group and you were asking those next level thinking questions, trying to get them uh, to not only you're not only telling them the answer, or sorry, you're not just telling them the answer. You're trying to tell them how to find the answer and putting previous lessons together to find the answer of the graphing lesson. So that was a really good job. You did a really, really good job of keeping the students' attention during the whole class time. Again, like I said, there wasn't any interruptions or talking or anything. You were able to get their attention right back. I mean, like that. So that was a really good job. And then I really liked the game that you played at the end to reinforce the angles uh, topic and getting them up out of their seat, moving around a little bit. So I really like that. It's something that I would like to see more in classrooms. So great job there. Um, Also, I want to go back to uh, the student behaviors for just 1 second because I just thought of something. When they were helping each other, they were kind of moving around. Some of them were leaning on desks and things like that, and that tells me that you are a good classroom teacher and a very good classroom manager, I should say, because you you can have your students have that little bit extra space, and you have them so well managed that you don't have to really worry about them arguing, things like that. They're helping each other, they're leaning, they're moving a little bit. Great, great way to give them a little bit more space, a little bit more responsibility. I like that. Just that just came to my mind, and just wanted to point that out. And then looking around your classroom, classroom was very student friendly. It was warm, inviting, very well lit. Uh, plenty of room. The students were spread apart. Their group tables were spread apart enough to where people could walk through. You could walk through. Students could walk through. I could walk through, and not have to worry about getting in each other's way. So I like that. And then you had materials available throughout the room. I could see where you had extra papers, where you had extra pencils, where you had turn-in bins, things like that. So that way they had stuff readily available, and they didn't have to come and ask and bother you for a pencil or paper, or they don't know where to turn stuff in. Everything is well organized and right there. So it was a really good job there. Uh, so just kind of going over that again, you had your desk put together for this lesson, working groups, and they were well placed and gave the students enough room to still maneuver around the classroom, but yet work together as a group. So that was good. Let's see. Also, they had plenty of room again when they were doing when they got up at the end for the game for the Simon Says. They had plenty of room to stand up and move around, and they weren't in each other's way. So it's a good way of utilizing your space. I know sometimes our classrooms are a little small and we don't have as much room as we would like, but the way you organize your room is very, very good, and you maximize the amount of space you have. Any questions so far? Yes. So when I just want to say I would have, I have my list of accommodations and supports at my desk, so that that is right there available. Again, you just didn't see it, but I do have that available, and I know my students, and I've picked them and put them in certain groups so that way they kind of help each other and help get those accommodations when I'm helping one group, and maybe the peer on peer support will help another group. So that's gonna say I understand that, and it's no big deal, but it is something that I do. Well, thank you for that. Again, like I said earlier, I imagine you do with everything else. It was a great class, great lesson, so I would imagine I would see that. Honestly, I know the bottom of this is going to say total points 9, and it's out of 10, but it's a 9 out of 9 because I just didn't see that. I didn't have the chance to see that in that time period, so it's not a big deal. I'm sure when I come through next time I'll see it, and we'll get a 10 out of 10. All right, so again, great lesson. Very well done, very well thought out. Everything from the way the desks were set up to you maneuvering around the room, asking those higher level questions. It was all flowed together very well, and it was a great lesson. I would really love for you to maybe do a professional development, or go to some of our newer teachers and kind of walk through this lesson with them, so that way they can kind of see how it is. Maybe I can come and record one of your lessons, and I could get together with them and you, and we could all go over it and just kind of see how you do it, and help those newer teachers because we do have a few new teachers.